Okay, thank you guys for tuning in to the Parent Trap Podcast. For those of you that are listening for the first time, I'm your host, Laria. And today's episode doesn't really have a title yet. Maybe we'll get one by the end of the episode. Maybe it'll just be posted untitled. But this was inspired by church service today. So today we didn't have children's ministry. So all the kids were in the main service with us. And I had 2 children with me. And my son was on his phone. And halfway through service, I'm just like bothered with him. Well, first he came with his controller to try to Bluetooth it. And I saw it and took it. But I'm just like, whatever. But I look over, he's still playing the game. And I just began to look all around the service. Most of the kids were distracted by some type of device, whether they had Nintendo DS's, cell phones, iPads. And then here my son go with the game and my nephew with a Rubik's Cube. And I'm just like so bothered. Like, why can't these kids sit still for an hour? And then I'm even backtracking throughout my week on how I've been trying to like get my son to be more disciplined with doing stuff around the house and being responsible for himself. But it seems like if it's not fun time or playtime, his mind is completely disconnected. And so I'm just sitting here like, Lord, what is up with this generation? And why can they not do simple things that we were required to do as kids? Like, you know, do your chores automatically without your parent reminding you. Sit through an hour church service. And y'all, I don't go to one of them 9 o'clock to 2 o'clock churches. Church is literally an hour, hour and a half at the most. Baby. And we got there late. We was there for probably 45 minutes tops. Okay? I'm going to just be honest. But as I began to look around the church and I'm sitting there like, what is it with this generation? I look over to my dear friend Bianca, who has her 5 children and her niece in service. And they are literally the only kids without devices. They were listening. They were engaged in service. At the end, they were clapping. They stood up to pray. They were, you know, like little adults over there. And not one device in sight. So I pulled Bianca after service like, girl, what you doing? Let's do this impromptu podcast because we want to get some advice from you
Lord.
on how you get your children to just behave and adapt, and they know when it's time to have fun and they know when it's time to play. And I'm going to just let her introduce herself a little bit, although I kind of threw it in there naturally, but I'm going to let her tell it in her own words. But go ahead, introduce yourself to the people.
I'm Bianca Cannon. I am a mom of a blended family, so we have 5 children in all, and of course I have my lovely niece who comes over when she wants to. I didn't know that this was this.
I literally was like, you got 30 minutes to record a podcast. She like, yeah, about what? You'll find out while we talking.
Because she know everything.
But I think a natural conversation is best. And
Absolutely.
I just wanted her to give it to us raw. Like, not try to think of these eloquent bullet points. Or not try to think of all this device. Like, what are you doing? Do you beat them? Just let me know. Because I go buy a few belts.
I'm
just playing.
No.
We don't promote child abuse at all. That was a joke.
Absolutely. So especially in the platform that I work in. So that's a good question of how do we get our children to sit down in church without any devices.
Well, first let's ask this.
Okay.
What is discipline like in your home? Do you guys have a structure or a strategy? Is it freelance? Do you cater to just one child? But, you know, what is your discipline structure in your household?
Well, it's still evolving, I would say. Because once again, we are a blended family. And so I have 2 biological children and my husband has 3 biological children. I think that it was great because our kids from the very first time of meeting each other been great. Yeah. So we've been married for a year. And our children range from, we have 2 10-year-olds, 2 7-year-olds, and 1 13-year-old. And then my niece is 10.
And y'all know that's the fidgety age.
Man.
All those ages.
I think it's just really, we just set that standard of this is what we're going to have to do. Now, don't get me wrong. They're not always perfect. There was probably 3 times that I said, hey, stand up. Or, no, we don't talk during this time. So they're not, I wouldn't say that they're perfect children. But I think that we've been blessed just to have some amazing kids that hasn't always been this way. But I think as they grown older, that it definitely helped. And because both my husband and I have different ways of discipline, that we had to figure it out, because before, when I was a single mom, I had to be the disciplinarian, and then I got tired, so then I kind of laxed, where then my husband became that disciplinarian. And then we had to talk like, okay, I don't always want to be a disciplinarian at the time. You don't always want to be disciplinarian at the time, so let's do it together. So we set our standards. You either going to abide by these standards, or there's a consequence behind that. And it's not, once again, whooping to be the first situation. You get things taken away. I don't have to repeat myself multiple times. And so my husband doesn't either. And we reward them a lot too.
Okay.
So we make it fun. So they know that each day we have some type of theme night. So you want to get to that theme night, right? Okay, in order to get to that theme night, be together.
Y'all is teachers for real. No, that's good. So what I'm hearing is, for y'all that need, some notes to write down, is 1, communication. 2, balance. And we know balance doesn't mean even. It's just that there's a portion delegated everywhere. So they're communicating, they're setting a balance where a measurement of discipline is going to each party. And then 3, having a standard. And 4, consistency. Because it's like, I don't know about y'all, but being a single mom, your child, and co-parenting in different households, I'm going to speak for myself. My child already has 2 different standards to live by. So it's times where I just take the short end of the stick, where I'll just let all the responsibility fall on me. Then I'm frustrated and I'm exploding. Every time. And it's so hard to be consistent when they're in another household for a portion of the time. And then you already know that there's a pressure attached to that. So you don't want to add to the pressure. But what I didn't realize was, over the years, I was hindering him learning strong discipline. And I was hindering him having a respect for me, because I was bailing him out of everything. Okay, you just got from your dad's house. You got 3 younger siblings over there, so you take more of a leadership role. And over here, it's just me and you. So half the time, I would just do the chores, or I would put his laundry away and just let him focus on school and sports, when there is times where, he will just focus on that, especially during wrestling season, because wrestling is so intense to where I keep household chores to a minimum, but it's easier because he's never home. But outside of those times, still upholding him to a standard, and I was letting go of that standard and being inconsistent.
Which is easy, though, I feel.
Yeah, it's so easy.
I think about the times that I was a single mom, and then the time, like now that I'm married, and kind of my husband kind of took on that single parent. It may sound bad, but single parenting type situation, only because I'm an entrepreneur. So I'm always going and doing different things. Which is also not just setting that standard for the kids, but then setting that standard for self as well. Like you were saying, like I have to make sure that he at least has something, and that I uphold him to that standard. Because if we're not upholding ourselves, then they're going to see right through us.
Yes.
But I think it's also, whether you're married, whether you're single, finding people that can hold you accountable as well, or finding out, so whether that's finding another male figure, or a female figure or a woman figure that another child listens to, because sometimes they don't just listen to you. I find out my kids, because my husband has not been around, he's not their biological father, they look to him in a different type of way, such like Brayden, my son, he's definitely listening to Dwight more than he listens to
long story short.
Long story short.
I done lost control.
He don't listen to him. But then sometimes my husband has to hold me accountable, because I get tired. Having to take care of things. When I said to do something, just go ahead and do it. Or I just don't feel like doing it. So I'm like, okay, I'll just do it myself. But that's the wrong way, because then they won't act right when I need them to act right, because that standard, I'm lowering that standard for them. So
yes.
So, big ups to my husband, because I've been messed up.
Shout out to Dwight. Go ahead and keep her on her P's and Q's. But yeah, and I think I'm going to connect that back to what I saw in church today, is sometimes we just want to get what God wants us to have us get. And we don't want to say sit down, we don't want to keep an eye on them, we don't want to whatever, but we have to lead by example and engage them in order to get them to participate. And they have to learn how to adapt. There's a time to play, there's a time to listen, there's a time to be creative, there's a time to explore, but there's a time to just be disciplined and pause. And I think that we're such a technology-centered generation that our technology is our new pacifiers.
Absolutely.
I remember when Amadi was a baby, I breastfed, and me and his dad had both agreed we were not buying pacifiers, but somebody gave them to us at the baby shower, and because I was breastfeeding, I learned quickly that if I'm in a grocery store and I can't just pull out my breast. So we did do pacifier for a little while, but once them 2 pacifiers was lost, that was it. And that transition off wasn't hard because I literally only used a pacifier in moments I could not breastfeed. And I've nurtured a lot of children at their baby phase, and what I learned is we just do a pacifier when we don't want to dig deep and figure out what's going on. And now we just do that with iPads, cell phones, and all of that. When mama want to focus on her movie, when mama want to watch Power, when mama want to be on the phone with her friends, go get on your iPad and get out my face.
Because it's
and
easy.
Yes, and now they don't have the capacity to sit and focus and listen to a 15-20 minute sermon.
But then we get mad about them not wanting to go play outside, not wanting to join different activities.
Yes.
Because we have to set that standard. We're the reason why they're not going outside. It's not that because they just don't want to. It's not because they're not, they don't want to. We haven't set that standard for them to go out there. And sometimes we got to go out there with them. I would say, like, their dad is really good at going out and playing basketball. So much so that these other kids that I usually don't see outside, they're watching out their window. Now they're coming over to our house to go play basketball with my husband. So I'm like, honey, your friend's outside to come play with you. But they need us to be out there too, teaching them how to do things. Because if you're not involved with them, because it's easy not to. Because I raise my hand. I'm not that mom. I don't want to be outside. I don't like the outdoors.
Yes.
My
allergies is flaring up. It's bugs.
Yes. But it's a sacrifice, being a parent, going out there. Like I said, once again, not to be like, oh, my husband, but he does. He takes them outside. He makes sure that he involves those things. Like I said, we have that schedule because it's time out for all this electronics. It's too much out there that gets into their brains and, their mindsets. That we can't shut them from because we don't know what they're watching. Mm-hmm. But if we take them away from that and limit that time, as hard as that can be when you're busy as a mom or as a dad or as an auntie, whoever, raising that child, it's worth it though.
Yeah, it's so worth it.
That sacrifice is worth it. Go outside, do things with them. Know who their friends are. Know what they're watching. Know what they're listening to. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm going to just parenthetically insert this for those of y'all who've never listened before. This is a parenting podcast, so if you hear kids in the background playing Fortnite, we needed them to just go be quiet while we do this recording, but we going to the park after this. That's balance. So I just want that to be a lesson to y'all. How we're going to use that for this moment because we have to do something like record and we need silence, but I'm like, they done turned the game up. I hear it.
Right.
But if you hear it, just know we parents. And sometimes as parents, this is what you got to do. Y'all got to hear that. But guess what? They finna be at the park for the next 3 hours. Okay? No, but definitely everything you said, I do think that we as parents have gotten lax. And our moms and dads didn't play outside with us.
Right.
So we don't feel like we have to play outside with our kids, but they lived in a different world. They had a different standard. They didn't have all this technology available to shove in our face, so they sent us outside, and outside developed us. And granted, there are some good sides of technology where some of them may go into development or IT, but let's be real. They are consuming on that thing. They are getting taught things by TikToks. Think about the trends and hashtag you see on your social media every time you slap a device in the kid's face. Those hashtags, those trends are hitting their timeline and they're absorbing it and consuming it. And then let's shift this focus to school teachers. That's why we're having so much trouble in our school system, because I'm sitting there watching half the kids in this room cannot sit and listen to a 15-minute sermon. How do we expect them to take in a 45-minute lesson 3 to 4 times a day? Because we got a few subjects. By the second, third subject, honestly, these days in the first.
Right.
But by the second, third subject, the kid is disengaged. We got classroom problems, and you're dealing with behavior the rest of the day. So I want to encourage y'all to, take this episode as not just a benefit to you, but a benefit to your child's future, a benefit to society and do some of the things we suggested, so that we can move forward and provide a better world for our kids. Yeah. So, yeah. Is there anything else you want to add, Bianca, that you just kind of something that crossed your mind or you didn't get to say just about discipline and structure when it comes to parenting? Anything that, even that your mother taught you or a habit you have that helps with you having kids that are just well behaved? And while she thinking of something, I'm going to say this. I had Bianca kids on a 2-hour flight, and y'all, they were so good. I was going to Orlando for grad school in Florida. Every time I always made sure I had multiple headphones on Orlando flights, okay? Because 90% of the flight is families with children going to Disney. And it was always a crying baby, but we had a playlist, an audio book, all that ready. So, this time I'm traveling with the kids, but they were, so behaved. They didn't bother me. They was chilling. I don't even think they slept the flight. They were just, didn't have any devices then. They just really chilled out and looked out the window and were quiet. I'm sorry, I took my son to Orlando. He got on my nerves the whole time.
Now they
stop talking to me, Marty.
Just with me. Like I said, my children are just like any other child. They have their moments. Yeah. Because they're kids, right? They have their moments. I was just talking to my sister and a couple other people just about how thankful I am because, growing up, my mom, she had me when she was 16. And so I always say that she did the best that she could. Mm-hmm. The ups and the downs, she did the best that she could. But there were things that I wish that I would have had back then. But you only know as a parent what you know. Yeah. And so there's, I think, just being intentional at all times. Yeah. And my impatience that I have with my children. Sometimes I have to woosah and talk to myself. Okay, Bianca, you can do this. I know you're tired. I know you're irritable. Yes. But in the long run, it will help better yourself. So really bring in that community. I know it's so cliche. It takes a village to raise a child. But it's so true. Mm-hmm. I was able to call on Laria, ask her for help. I was able to, call on my sisters and, my kids' grandparents, my husband, and just different people just to get those questions answered that I was just confused about. Because they don't come with the manual. They don't. I need to know why.
It's a trap, y'all.
It's a trap. They don't come with the manual. But knowing that you have to give them the individualized attention as well. And because we have 5 kids, my husband and I talk about it all the time. We have 5 kids, and they all need something different. Mm-hmm. And when you have a busy life, because of everything that's going on, you still have to find that time, that sacrifice, because it's well worth it in the end in order to make sure that you're meeting their needs. And sometimes it's a hit or miss. So just know as a parent, you're doing a good job because you have your children, you're loving on them. Every day is not going to be perfect. But you made it another day with them. They're healthy, they're alive, they're smiling, or they're upset. But guess what? They're going to be okay.
They're going to be
okay. And then just being okay with saying no, I think. I used to have a problem with saying no. But it's okay to say no. It's okay. They're going to be mad at you today, but then in the next 5 minutes or the next day, they're going to be loving you, saying that you're the best parent in the world. Right. So even if they're not telling you that, just know that you're doing a good job and that it's okay to reach out for help. That does not make you weak. That doesn't make you a bad parent. That doesn't make you less than to reach out and ask for the help. Use your village.
Yeah. Use your village. So that's what we're going to leave y'all with. Just a short recap. Communicate if you're parenting with other people. What was the tip? Communicate, set a standard. Don't break it. Stay consistent with that standard. Offer incentives and use your village. Yes. And I'll probably put some of these bullets in the show notes. And we just gonna close out with
plan. For real, like that's helped my life. It's schedule every single thing. For your kid, have a movie day, have a karaoke or game night. Just do those different things.
Yeah. Plan. We're going to add that in there then. Plan everything. Set a calendar, get a whiteboard, do whatever. Y'all know we parents, it's real ghetto. I'm going to just tell y'all what's going on. I got a pet rabbit. The rabbit coming out. The kids coming out the room. Bianca, that means it's time to wrap this thing up. Bianca's looking at the rabbit like, don't come by me.
Not at all. Don't do it.
But this is what parenting is. You know,
right.
Welcome to the Parent Trap Podcast.
Right.
Y'all see it live in action. So we going to close off with Bianca telling us just about, you know, her business and how y'all can connect with her, your website, your social media, whatever you got to offer for parents.
Yes.
A lot of people in Milwaukee, Chicago listen to this, so they can definitely use your resources. Go ahead and plug them in.
Absolutely. So I'm the co-owner of the Giving Tree Development Center. We are located on 67th and Burleigh.
In Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
We are a licensed group child care center from the ages of 6 weeks and up to 12 years old. You can give us a call at 414-808-0004. We also have some great things that's coming down the pipeline. You can check us out on Facebook at the Giving Tree Development Center, as well as our website, which is thegivingtreecenter.com. And just be on the lookout for some more things that we do have coming up for families. Okay. The whole family, not just children, but the whole family. We have great resources and accommodations for the whole family.
All right, and I'm going to put that website in the show notes. Y'all stay connected to the Giving Tree. Bianca has passion and a drive. Ever since I've known her, she's done stuff with families and community, and you know, she's just great. She's my child's other mama. You know, if I ever run away, that's where he gonna go. So yeah, thank y'all so much for tuning in. She will definitely be back, so this is not the last y'all hear from her. Don't forget to like our Facebook pages and Instagram page at the Parent Trap Pod, and subscribe so you get our notifications every week. And email us if you have any questions or prayer requests. You guys have a great week.